Hello, everyone. How are you? Thursday, the 28th of January. All right. Today, I'm going to talk about developing touch, ways to develop touch, work on your touch. And there's so many important things about having good touch on a kit. And, well, one, creating good sounds. Two, being able to play dynamically in different situations, different rooms you get in. And also being able to get across what you want in different rooms, in different settings. Sometimes we need to play quieter than we'd actually like to. But if we're in a room that maybe is a very loud or something like that, it's important to have good touch so we can still create good sounds and and uh and sorry, sound good. That's kind of double repeating myself, but you know what I mean, right? Okay. So, all right, if you're new to me, please oh boy, I didn't put the link up. I will put the link up. 5 Fundamentals to Studio Drumming. I have a free lesson for you if you would like it on my website. All right, there we go. 5 Fundamentals to Studio Drumming, things I work on all the time. Continue to work on really five important things for really essential for studio playing, but also for live playing. And it's a free lesson. You can get it right there. All right. So first way that I like to work on touch: play quietly on a pad. All right, pads are not just for burning chops and playing rudiments over and over. All right, there's so much to be able to do on a pad, but literally just playing quiet, watching your stick height on pads. I think that reading like concert snare drum etudes where you can work on your reading actually, but I know you can barely hear that, but those kind of things can be super helpful because you need to be really rhythmically accurate with like kind of classical snare drum things like that, and it's gonna. I mean, there's so many benefits to that, challenging you rhythmically, challenging your reading, but then just working on touch and accent. So you have accent levels, and then of course you have touch levels, but really trying to think about the sound. Even though you're playing on a pad, think about the sound that would be coming out of a drum, right? If that makes sense. So pad work it's not just one dimensional. um it can be super important, and I really just try to work on playing quietly, double strokes, clean double strokes, quiet, um pad work. All right. I see a question. I'll get to that in a minute. You guys, if you have questions, load them up. I'll get to them. Okay. Second thing, kind of repeating myself, but not really. Just practice quietly. Practice anything. Practice it quietly. Um, I think a lot of my touch development came through playing jazz, but of course, you don't have to play jazz to develop touch. Um, but so one thing that I do, kind of running into point 3 here at the same time, but I have practice sessions where I just literally play quietly. Okay, it could be whatever I need to do. Could be anything from simple rock beats. right? So you have to hit the cymbals differently. You have to hit the drums differently. A lot of times, if you're playing quiet, you're probably not going to be playing rim shots, right? Or of course, you can do that too. Versus. But be really, really, really focused on playing quiet and staying quiet and playing fills around the kit. I mean, just do anything, but force yourself for 10 minutes to play quietly, and you'll start to notice a difference in your hands. Um, either your brain is being challenged, or maybe sometimes you're having to change your grip slightly, to get rebound and things that you want. Um, all kinds of things. I was doing a session yesterday out of my house, and I was playing on a pair of hi-hats like this, which is hard to see, but these are about 10 inches. And I was playing on 10-inch hi-hats and a 10-inch snare, which is a small surface area. And, that kind of thing with a small surface area, you really got to be very wristy. And plus, if you hit something like a set of 10-inch hi-hats too loud, they don't sound good, right? So I'm really forced to. So literally force yourself to play quiet. So when you get in situations where you need to play quiet, sometimes it's a gig, maybe you're playing a wedding gig or a restaurant, or maybe you're outdoors somewhere and there's a lot of people, but it's the kind of thing where you can't, it's not a super amplified zone. Practice for those situations. Force yourself to play quietly. Okay, and third would be finding kind of fun ways or good ways to practice playing quietly. And one of my favorite things is actually kind of like early 90s hip hop records or things in that era, because they're sampling, old school drummers, 60s era drummers. I'll come back to that, but or play along to like James Brown or Motown or Stax records, because those are not heavy hitting drummers, right? Play along to jazz records. Find records where you're trying to emulate the sound and of course the grooves, but do it at the same time. You know, um, so there's a Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip. There's so many incredible samples from those records. Um, right, but if you really listen closely to those drummers and those sounds, those guys are not hitting hard, right? 60s, 70s started to hit harder, but they were very contained drummers. And that's a really fun way to practice, because not only are the grooves awesome and you really zone in on those, but if you really are trying to match what they're doing, that keeps you in the right headspace. Um, but I would definitely go on a limb and say you could practice along to anything. You could practice along to Rush records and play quiet and develop touch. If you can really get around the kit, playing those kind of things, but playing quiet, sounds kind of crazy, but whatever you like playing to, you know. Oh, thanks, Anthony. Glad you liked that interview. There are more things like that coming. Yeah. If people have questions, please queue up your questions. Now's the time. Um, um, what else? What else was I thinking? Yeah, those what? Oh, jazz records. Yeah. There's nothing like just practicing jazz. Uh, especially because it's so not backbeat oriented, and it's really about, especially in your left hand, just being able to tap and comp. Sorry, that's the better word. Being able to comp in a really light, musical, tasteful manner. Um, Again, it's all touch, and then of course getting around to the kit. So, listen to drummers with touch, and try to find recordings that are fun to play along with, where you're emulating those sounds. Again, I'll ask for questions if you have questions. Doesn't have to be about touch; it can be about recording, things like that. This is just my spiel for today. If you're here, um, so yeah, I'll reiterate. To develop touch, anybody that wasn't on here, just play on a pad quietly. Work on your rudiments. Have accents, but keep it low. Keep the whole thing quiet and low. Really, really, whatever it is, double stroke rudiments. Um, think about that sound you would be creating from a real drum if you're playing on a pad. Okay. 2 would be have quiet practice sessions where you literally, it could be 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. 10 minutes can be super helpful, where you're like, I'm only going to play quiet for 10 minutes, and force yourself in that zone. Um, and maybe you're really focused on the sound that you're creating, focused on your timing, because we're having, when you're developing touch, the muscles that you're using are often different from, obviously. So you have to develop those other muscles. Touch is like they're different stick heights, they're different muscles, and getting that lodged in your memory is super important. And then the third thing would be find records that are fun to play along with. In my case, it's kind of early '90s hip hop, Motown records, Stax records, jazz records. Although I haven't played along to jazz records in many years, but I do find it cool. Shuffles, things with shuffles. I've definitely been working on shuffle lately. Zone in on those things. All right, last call for questions. I'll hang out for another minute or two. Could be recording questions, could be about this, could be about anything. I'm happy to answer. That's why I'm here. And I'll give you my last second spiel again. If you don't have it, I have my 5 fundamentals to studio drumming, a little link pinned at the top. It's a free lesson, some really great concepts and things to work on. I don't know if anybody has it, but you can say something about it if you download it. And if you've gotten anything out of it, let me know. That would be great. You could let other people that may not be aware of it, if you've gotten anything out of it, that would be cool. Declan. Okay, approach to developing a jazz touch, Declan. I would just practice along to jazz records, and listen. It's really about listening and understanding that sound in your head, especially, at different tempos, so much of that is just in here, or playing traditional grip, which in one sense is easier. I was playing when I was playing jazz. I was playing back years ago when I was playing more jazz. I was playing traditional grip, and I've since tried to develop my match grip to emulate that sound and that feel, and just kind of finding the grip where I can control it, but still find that touch. But really, I would say listening and just you got to force yourself to do it to develop a jazz touch. What do I do to play relaxed? What do I do to play relaxed? I guess I'm not really sure how to answer that. Just be relaxed. um, I would say that's a very fundamental thing where, again, if you're playing on a pad, I would hope that you're relaxed already, right? You're not holding tension in your body. You're definitely not holding tension in your hands because that will lead to injury. Okay. So start from the basics. And then when you sit down at a kit, make sure you're sitting properly. You're not holding tension in different parts of your body. Um, I would say that would be a first step. Make sure you breathe. Breathing is super important. And then, if you've practiced, if you set your technique up right, you should be relaxed already. And then I guess another level would be if you are nervous or feel unsure about what you're going to do, like on a gig or something like that. Like maybe you're adding tension to yourself there. Maybe you're not prepared. I mean, this is kind of a big question, but I would say hit me up for a lesson on this one because there's a lot. There's a lot. You can go to my website and email me from there if you'd like a lesson. But there's a lot to talk about in just playing relaxed. Hello, Matt Star. Oh yeah, Anthony Cerrone snare drum etudes for touch. Yes, Matt Starr is saying practice those. Yes, amazing for reading rhythms and classical snare drum. The idea of playing classical snare drum and it's all just quiet and playing rhythmically accurate while rhythmically accurate while reading and playing complex things, keeping your internal pulse going, things like that. Hi, Stan. Often asked to play relaxed and soft and quieter. Is it Stefan? Looks like Stefan from here. Sorry, I should be wearing reading glasses at this point. I'm not used to it yet. Am I often asked to play quieter? No, I'm not asked to. Rarely am I asked to. I think I've developed over the years where I actually play much quieter. I mean, I definitely play way quieter than I used to. So I'm not. I don't think I'm often asked to because people don't need to ask me to. But it does happen. But I think more often than not for me, it's being in a setting where I'm forced to play quieter. Again, maybe it's a very small rehearsal space, and the band just doesn't want to be loud. The singer doesn't want to get blown out by cymbals and things like that, like in a rehearsal space, right? That's a very common thing. I actually played a couple of gigs a few months ago before COVID got bad in LA again. I was playing outside, and it was like a kind of an odd mall setting, but it was really great to play music. But we're just outside. People are walking by. They don't want bashing cymbals and loud, rim shots in their ears. They want to sit, 10 feet, 15 feet away from you and enjoy the music. So I feel like it's the situations that are forcing me to have touch and play quiet, and my musicality is tied in there, right? You're welcome, Robert. Thank you for the compliments, everyone. That's really cool. But yeah, please hit me up for lessons. Anyone on here, you can go to my website. book out lessons, talk about what you want to work on. I teach recording. I do a lot of it through Zoom, and it's super effective because we can listen to stuff you've recorded, and I can show you stuff I've recorded. And we can talk about EQ and compression and mic placement and drums and all that stuff. And then of course I give playing lessons too, and I would do that more in this format where we can go back and forth. So, all right, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Glad you're enjoying it. Matt, I'm gonna text you after this so we can talk. Do an interview. I got another interview coming out this weekend. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I I I can never remember the names of with people's users names, but appreciate it. Thanks. Um, what snare is this? Oh, this is just my Superphonic. It's from the 30s. So it's kind of I always get confused. I forget. I think it's a universal. It's a chrome over brass. Two-piece chrome over brass. Workhorse. Yeah. All right. There we go. Lessons, 5 fundamentals to studio drumming. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the questions. And I will see you all soon. And yeah, there's another interview coming out Saturday. I won't tell you who, so you tune in. All right. Bye.